Okay, so we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and today it's great to have Oliver here. I'll just wait till you're ready.
There you go. I am ready. We are plugged in.
Okay. Okay, so it's great to have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and today it's good to have Oliver here. Oliver, you've been behind a bunch of different great movies that a lot of us know and love. You also have a whole side to you that's involved in doing good for the world. I mean, you started a water brand to help people that didn't have access potentially to that. You've invested in a lot of for good companies like Vitable and Next Health, and the list just goes on. And you really try to use content and media as a piece to project your values to the world in a positive way. So I'm excited to have you and to get into your story.
Great to be here, brother. Nice to connect with you and nice to talk more. Let's do it.
Awesome. So going back to the beginning, how did your interest in acting and media and film, how did that passion of yours really begin?
Going back to the beginning, I grew up in kind of dance and theatre. So from like the age of 4, I was in ballet. I did ballet, tap, modern. I was the youngest of 4 boys. I think mum, if she's honest, wanted a girl. But I popped out and I fell into that world. My dad owned like a small trucking company and a car garage. And I guess completely separate to that, I found myself on this journey of entertainment. So, as I say, I kind of did it all from a young age. So sung, danced, performed, went to theatre school. And that was kind of what really led me on my path to leaving England and coming to America, I guess.
How important was that to come to America? Like, was it just so much more opportunity here?
Yeah. I'm so glad that I had my kind of foundation in the UK. Theatre and our kind of studying there is a little bit different. I think it's just, especially during my time, you had to do it all. You had to dance, sing, and act. Like to get any qualification or scholarship, you had to do all 3. So, it didn't matter if you were like, look, I'm a great actor. And they'd be like, well, sing, and then you'd have to learn the song part and the dance, background. So I'm glad that I was pushed into that and had my kind of foundation in the UK to then bring that to the US, because I think I was open to a lot more opportunities. I wasn't scared of new things. And I just said yes a lot. I had no idea what how I thought my journey was going to go in the US is completely different to how it's gone, So I think to that point, yeah, I had no idea what was there for me. And I came here and I had one vision and it's gone off a completely different way and I love it. So I think sometimes you just got to be open to it and let the rest unfold.
Definitely. Spontaneous, sometimes in life, the spontaneous things that happen are the best,
100%. I mean, my mum always says life makes sense in reverse. And it used to be a quote that would drive me insane. And I think it's my favorite way to look at life now, because genuinely, as much as you vision what you want, and I think it's important to have goals and important to, know who you are. But at the same time, if you just wake up every day and do the best you can do for that day, I believe that the rest will unfold. And sometimes it's no idea what you thought it would be, So.
Yeah. It's a great quote too.
Yeah. It's
puts
great.
in perspective. Yeah.
It is.
So if you had to attribute, a couple things to your style of acting, how would you say you really learned how to craft your own style?
I studied with a coach here for a long time. He's still my coach now, called Anthony Mindell. And I think like anything, right? We've all got it in us. We've all got stuff we can pull from. And it's perspective, but we've all had trauma to some extent. We've all had heartbreak to some extent. We all know what being scared looks like or feels like. So I really just think it's like on a human level, becoming that character, really feeling what that character is going through in that moment. And I think, yes, sometimes the stakes are, I don't know what it's like to rob a bank. But if my character's robbing a bank, I'm sure there's some adrenaline there, and I'm sure there's some fear there. And I can pull that, I know what adrenaline feels like. I know what a rush feels like, and I know what being scared feels like. So yes, it's different because I've never robbed a bank, but you just bring human feeling and connection into that moment. And I think that's what I try and do as much as possible,
Mm-hmm. Is it similar with the kind of the campaigns that you do as well? It's a similar mindset.
I mean, the campaigns are a bit different when I'm with a brand. I mean, it's just kind of like lifestyle, right? It's who I am. I try and only work with brands or companies, or definitely invest in things that I believe in myself, that I genuinely want to be a part of, you know? So obviously it's nice to invest in a company and have it make money and have it be a success. But at the same time, I think it's just as important to enjoy that journey. And so a lot of the companies that I found myself not only investing in, but, you know, really enjoying being a part of, like Next Health, you know, obviously Caliwater is my baby. But those companies, like, I love being a part of. You know, there's a company called Art that I invested in. ARTHA is pronounced Art. Um, I love it because, you know, it's flow tanks, it's saunas, it's massage, it's yoga, it's wellness. You know, Next Health is longevity. It's like our goal is to add years to your life. You know, live a better life. Caliwater, it's a great alternative to, you know, to alcohol. It's a great mocktail. It's a great health drink that everyone should drink every day. So I feel like when I'm telling people to be a part of it, yes, it's coming from a place of course, because I want my businesses to be successful and I'm trying to spread the word. But genuinely, I know that I'm telling them to do something that's going to benefit them. You know, if I tell someone to go into Next Health and have their panels done and start this process of feeling better, at the end of it, they're going to come back to me and say, "Thanks, mate. That was amazing." I feel, you know, I've had friends literally come back to me and be like, "Mate, Next Health has changed my life the last 6 months." Or people say, "Oh my God, my kids are obsessed with Caliwater. It's so much better than the sugar crap we were giving them." So there's a feel good factor to it as well, you know. But don't get me wrong, I'm not Mother Teresa, and I'm not trying to just be like change everyone's life for the better. I'm trying to make a business as well and trying to, you know, be successful because I love it. But I gravitate towards areas of life that are better for you, because I enjoy that myself, and I like bringing better options to people's lives in that way. So
Yeah, I think it's great that that's the way you view things. I mean, there's all different types of people kind of in the world of acting. Some people are just actors and they focus on that. You kind of have a lot going on, Oliver. You've got the acting side of things, you've got the investments, you've got the media side for your investments, you've got the media side for for other brands too. How do you kind of manage all this, and how did it all start to develop?
um, I mean, I've always had one of those minds that just goes, you know, and I think that's been a blessing at times, and it's definitely been a curse at times. Um, but I love what I do, and I love connecting dots. And for me, there's a lot of synergy behind, um, you know, every aspect of what I do crosses over. Like if I look at, like, you know, I love producing films, right? And if I look at when I get a script, my mind automatically goes like, you know, is this a good script? Is it a good product? Is who could tell this story? Who do I want to tell the story? You know, how much it's going to cost to tell the story? Um, does it look like we could make money off telling this story? It's really the same way I look at a product. You know, like you get the product and you're like, is this a good product? How's it different to other products? Who should I get to tell this story of this product? How do I tell the story? Is it going to make money? So it's the same kind of thing, just from a different lens. You know, like there's a lot more synergy than I think people realize, around building a product, building a company, and the entertainment business. You know, and I think more so now it definitely crosses over. Um, and look, when I first moved to America, I remember my agents thought I was nuts because I always would suggest new things and suggest, like, I'd be like, well, I want to do this with this fashion brand, but I also want to be in that TV show, and I'm hosting this thing at the moment, and I'm going to do that award show. And I just know it always fell flat. They were like, pick a lane, go down the lane, and shut up. And you know, we always clash for that reason. But I think the entertainment business now, you know, it's exciting for someone like me because it's now not frowned upon. It's now welcome. You know, you look at someone like The Rock or Ryan Reynolds or all these people that are now doing businesses. You know, and not that I started the trend, but it was something I've always done because I had to. You know, I could not do it because the same as people had to have, you know, would be a waiter in a restaurant to pay their bills in between movies. I was always doing business stuff and creating that. So acting's always my passion, but I started doing other things. And then I think the more successful the businesses got, the more people would be like, hang on, but you're an actor as well, because it was hard for them to comprehend. But now that's not looked at all. I think people welcome it. And I think talent and actors and musicians and everyone in that space are realizing like they can do so much more with their platform. Um, and then that's also goes back to what you were saying earlier. That's why I try and always like pay it forward a little bit as well. I think there's an easy way to always tie it back to something we're passionate about in the give back space, in the philanthropy space. So I try and do that as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's become the norm today. You know, everybody as an audience tries to build some sort of brand. They're all entrepreneurial, and they have lots of different ways, you know, to go and monetize. You know, you put together a pretty interesting brand with Vanessa Caliwater that's got a great niche. How did that whole brand come about?
I mean, it was a lot to do with my own journey and her own journey. She had kind of discovered like prickly pear margaritas, and so she knew that space. And I really knew very little about cactus water, but I was having my panels done, which is where they take your levels and you find out about a lot about what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat, your sugar levels, your everything that's going into your body. And my sugar levels were really high, which didn't quite make sense to me because I was like, I'm pretty healthy. I don't, this must be wrong. And I tracked it down to coconut water. I was doing about 70 grams of sugar a day in coconut water. And obviously, look, there's good sugars in coconut water, but that amount of sugar is just not needed. And so kind of went down this rabbit hole of what else is out there, what hasn't been tapped into. And I think at the time it wasn't known. But we found that, the prickly pear part of the cacti family. And it's extremely good for you. But one of the best components is it's sustainable, So unlike a coconut where they have to, get a coconut off a tree, crack it open, get the juice and throw it away. The prickly pear naturally drains its juice. They plug it and it kind of drains. So we were like, hang on a minute, there's a product here or a fruit here that's can live in so many different climates. It survives the forever changing climate space that we're in. It lives in so many different places. It's got half the calories and half the sugar of coconut water. Great health benefits. And in my opinion, and I think other people now agree, it tastes better. And so we just thought, there's something here. And people warned me how hard beverage was, and is. And me and Vanessa were like, let's give this a go. And it's definitely been, it's definitely challenging. There's a lot to me about the beverage space that doesn't make sense. I remember like in the beginning, it was like distribution is obviously so important. It's everything to a beverage. And so you'd go out to these distribution companies and they'd be like, well, we can't take you on until you have 60 stores on your own. We only take brands on that have 60 stores or more. And then you'll go into the retailers and they'd say, well, we can't take you on without a distribution company because that's how we get our product in. And then you're like, well, how do I do this then? Because if I can't get the retailer. And so it was literally just banging on doors and asking people to try it. And I think that's where the fact that we focused on the product so much, like we really did not want to be a celebrity gimmick. Like we didn't want this to be one of those brands where it's got a celebrity face and they just throw it out there and, it doesn't taste good, because I think with that, it goes up, but it comes down, it's a gimmick. And so we really focused on the flavor, the health benefits, everything about the product we focused on, and we wanted the celebrity component to be the icing on the cake. And I think with that, people tried it and were like, oh, this is really good. And now because of that, we built a great foundation, and now we have a strong company and growing month over month, which is, tough to do in beverage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, also like today with direct to consumer online with beverage, that's become more popular. It used to be like, you're not really going to go order like a drink online. Now you can.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's got more popular. I think it's still a tough space because shipping costs are forever increasing. Definitely since COVID as well, shipping rates have gone up. So it's a tough business to scale when it's just online because you're constantly paying those high shipping costs, which just reduces your margins. So we love retail. We love old school. And thankfully, we're doing really well in retail. People buy it off the shelf and buy it again. So we have a great repeat customer. And I think, once again, that just goes back because of the product. People... You might be able to trick someone into buying something once because of the pizzazz and the fluff. I don't know why I said fluff, but like, what I mean? Like it's this, like,
I get you.
It looks sexy, so you'll buy it once, but you don't go back for a second date, So I think, with that, once again, it's just so important to focus on the product.
Agreed. Yeah. What's your long-term vision for the brand now? Like what are some of the goals you have for it, some of the milestones you want to hit?
I mean, we've got some really exciting things happening in 2025. One one moment in particular that should be announced in a few weeks that I can't really say. But that's going to be, we've got a great addition to the brand that we're excited to announce, and just some, just keep expanding. I mean, we've got some major retailers like Albertsons, their group, and some great other big ones that I can't mention that are launching in 2025. So I'm just excited because, once again, I love people trying it. I think the best part of it is the taste, and how good it is for you. Our kids' pouches we launched in May, and they've grown massively in the last few months. And I think that's because parents are now more conscious about what they give their kids. And so I think timing is working in our favor. There's a lot more talk about cactus in general. Someone just sent me an article the other day, like even Lululemon are releasing an entire collection around cactus materials. So I think timing is in our favor, like anything in life. You can keep shooting, and then suddenly you just score because of things you don't have control of. So I think there's a lot working in our favor, and then we put a lot of the groundwork in. So I'm excited because it just keeps growing, and our goal is to keep growing. And then who knows, maybe acquisition. It's early to say, but we're excited. So
Yeah, I think I think you're offering something really good that's different. There's a lot of the same right now that we're seeing in the beverage space.
yeah,
So it's great to be different.
It's a lot of carbonation, right? Everything's fizzy, and I love a fizzy drink, but I'm only drinking one. I drink a fizzy drink, and especially if you're eating dinner. I don't drink alcohol, so I love something with my dinner. And when you go into restaurants, or even if it's like healthy fast food and stuff like that, and there's a kombucha or something like that, it seems great at the time, and then you're like 2 gulps in, and you're burping up, which isn't attractive for anyone. So I think we've created something that is a niche in the market, and people are surprised because they pop open the can and they expect it to be fizzy, and it's not. We don't have carbonation in it. And with that, your body digests it a lot better. You get the nutrients quicker. The hydration's there. So yeah, we're honestly, we're really excited. And I think, once again, I hate to keep saying it, but it's so true, because we are so focused on the product and the flavoring, and the ingredients, and the natural part of it, the organic part of it, that we're playing the long game here. We don't want to be a flash in the pan.
Mm-hmm. So just kind of shifting all over to like the movie side of things. You were in a movie, The Plane, with a bunch of different great actors, but you had a pretty important supporting role. How did you kind of get into that role specifically for The Plane? What were you thinking was how did you kind of become the character who was in that movie?
I mean, how I got the role, it's funny because Gerard Butler's been like a brother to me for, I don't know, 20 plus years. And so I think people just assume that, it was as easy as saying, mate, stick me in the movie. I didn't even tell Gerard when I was auditioning for it. I got a self-tape through for it. I heard about the movie, obviously. And then I remember telling my agents at the time, I was like, can you get me a, tape for this? I've read it. There's a few roles that I know I'm good for. And they went on their own kind of task to get me in touch with casting. And then I got a tape for it. And then I remember auditioning for it. And then I got, down to the final mix for that character Carver that I played. And then I remember Gerard called me and was like, mate, I've just seen your tape for Plane. We were reviewing the selection with directors. And so maybe at that point, I'm sure it helped. But at the same time, I had to do enough legwork myself to get in the mix. And I think that's always important. I don't ever want to be an actor that is put into a role because of who I know, because it never goes down well. And I think people can spot it. We've all watched those movies and you're like, that's a bit of an odd choice. So yeah, I mean, that was how I got the role. And then, how I prepared for the role. I mean, I hate to say it, that one is just kind of like me, he's a bit of a, I don't know. It's funny because literally Gerard still to this day will make fun of me when I get my phone out and I go like this, like we all do. I mean, that was Carver, right? He was the guy that there's just been a plane crash and he's grabbing his phone trying to get content and stuff like that. So, wasn't too much of a stretch. Not that I'm a prick, but we all do that nowadays. I think it's terrible. We're all grabbing our phones and doing stuff like that. So that was just a fun role. There wasn't a lot to do there. I think what was nice is the director Jean-Francois Richet. He was great with actors in the way that there was always a lot of space to be filled, and he'd just turn it. It was a big ensemble cast, right? Especially the passengers, the ones that survive. There are always a lot of us, and he'd just open it up and say, okay, fill the room, add in some lines. And for me, I always, I've always got something to say. And I think that was great for me because the role just kept getting bigger and bigger because I'd, say what I felt in the moment, what felt real to that character. And just continued that character's, attitude and role throughout the movie.
How different was it from the film you did with Miles Teller?
Very different because the Miles one was a small role. I was in and out on that one. But it was. They were both massive productions. So I think the Gorge was even bigger, like budget wise. So both very big productions. I can't really say anything about my role in the Gorge because it hasn't come out. And anything I say, I might be killed for. So let's move on from that. Plane we can talk about all day long because it's been out forever now. So if you haven't seen it, you're probably not going to watch it at this point, or maybe you will.
What do you now want to do in the film space? What do you feel like you haven't done yet? Roles you want to be in that you haven't been in yet?
I've done a lot in action. Obviously, I just had Paradox Effect come out, which is on Amazon and iTunes, Apple. So that was a fun movie. I got I was the lead in that alongside Olga Kurylenko and Harvey Keitel. And that was a thrilling adventure. I think every project you learn something, like anything in life. You learn through the people, you learn through the experience. The action stuff, I guess, is fun, and I love it, and I get it a lot. I'm about to leave as I mentioned at the beginning before we started recording. I'm about to leave for Atlanta in 40 or so minutes to start a new action film there with Mel Gibson, and that stuff is really fun. I would like to do some more stuff in the comedy space because I trained in improv and I love that space, and I love the character work. I love delving more into a character and the drama stuff. But I enjoy it all. I'm grateful to work. So if I get to carry on working and work with some amazing people that I get to learn from and enjoy the experience, I'm happy.
Yeah. It's good to look at it like that. I mean, you've been in a bunch of different films at this point. So, I think you've been able to play yourself a lot too, but now it's kind of interesting to see you play some different characters as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a bit of myself in every character because I think that's what it is, right? It's a human connection to that character. So I feel like there's always part of me there. I like delving into the accents too. I've done now at this point, I think throughout the years, it's been like Russian, German, English, American. I'm about to be Irish. So I like that stuff because it just gives it a bit more fun. It's a bit more character. But, so many directors are like, bro, we like it when you're just you. We like your voice. We like and I'm like, I don't mind, it's easy. So honestly, it sounds like such a easy answer to give, but I just love working, I think from every set you learn something, from the good days, the bad days. That's it. It's about enjoying the experience.
Mm-hmm. Just the last question I have, Oliver. What do you see your kind of big picture vision of your life at this point? What's kind of going to unfold next? Let's say in the next 5 to 10 years.
I'd love to, which I'm doing, produce more. I just co-created a TV show, which I'm really excited about that we're doing in the UK. I love that kind of creating space, and the same goes for the companies and brands as well. I think for me, before I create another brand, I want Caliwater to have its moment. It's having its moment, but to kind of finish that journey, continue to invest. I love kind of meeting founders and giving them the opportunity the same way people believed in me and invested in me and my visions. That's kind of it. But, goes back to what I said at the beginning. I think I don't try to fantasize too much about the future, because if I look back, it's always gone very differently to how I thought, and not in a bad way, just in a totally different way. Like if you would have, Ben, if we met 5 years ago and you would have said, by the way, I just spoke to this fortune teller and you're going to own a beverage brand in 5 years, I'd have been like, yeah, mate, she should stop drinking. That's the fun and exciting part of life, right? I think we can all, it doesn't mean be lazy and just let life unfold. It means do your best and then let it play out. I don't think we can control a lot of our outcomes. We like to think we can, but I don't think you can.
Yeah, I think we
So
can position ourselves to get the best outcome, but whatever happens is
yeah,
not for
look, if you do your best every day, good shit will happen. You know, that's just factual. And as I say, it might surprise you in the most brilliant way, and it had nothing to do with what you thought, but because you did the best in that moment, it unfolded another path. You know, then that makes any sense. It made sense to me, so it's
that
fine.
makes sense to me too.
Okay, well, there's two of us. There's two of us, Ben. So that's perfect.
Well, Oliver, I appreciate you taking the time and doing this. I think you've had a great journey so far and done a lot of impactful work in the world, especially through your drink brand now. I mean, it's going to become beverage brands. It's going to become a whole different level of impact and scale with the retailers that you mentioned, that you were able to say. And I'm excited to see that. And I look forward to your continued success in this upcoming film in Atlanta.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. And just on the Caliwater front, with the kids' pouches, we've partnered with Olive Crest, which is an incredible organization that fights against child abuse. So everyone should check out Olive Crest. And then the cans we're about to announce, which I'm sure by the time this comes out, it will be live. But we just partnered with American Forests as well. So you know,
Awesome.
planet and people, trying to do both.
Both important.